Hey everyone, welcome to PST1's group replication study presentation. I am Adriana Kimball and my partner is Melanie James. We chose to replicate the study using token reinforcement to increase walking for adults. Crocet and Horvat examined the effects of reinforcement-based exercise on fitness and work productivity in adults. The researchers examined the effects of the reinforcement-based aerobic and exercise program on 3 participants. Token reinforcement was implemented throughout the study. The tokens were exchanged for tangible reinforcements, which participants chose from a reinforcement menu. The results showed an increase in physical activity when the intervention was implemented. Token reinforcement systems selection of high preference reinforcers and increases attending behaviors in subjects. Researchers report that such a token economy system was extremely effective in motivating individuals with mental retardation to exercise. A token economy can be considered an instructional strategy that can be used to increase exercise behavior, especially with unfit and poorly motivated subjects. Token economies have a long research and applied history within clinical settings and classroom education. Alstott examined the effects of a peer-administered token economy to increase physical activity. He found that results indicated that 9 out of 10 participants showed an increase in physical activity during token reinforcement sessions as compared with baseline sessions. Based on the results of the study, it was concluded that peer-administered token economies can be useful tools for physical educators. The original study that my partner and I chose to replicate was titled Using Token Reinforcement to Increase Walking for Adults with Intellectual Disabilities. The publication was from the Journal of Applied Behavior Analysis in 2016. The authors were Haley, Krentz, Miltenberger, and Valabuena. The purpose of the study is to assess the effectiveness of a token reinforcement for increasing distance walked for adults with mild to moderate intellectual disabilities. The behavioral definition for walking a 50-meter lap is defined as walking from cone 1 to cone 2, followed by walking from cone 2 back to cone 1. The examples are walking a marked path, walking with an assistive device such as a cane, walker, etc. on a marked path. Non-examples are sitting down at a cone, spinning in circles, riding a bicycle from one cone to another, or walking around the same cone consecutively. The participants of the study replication included 2 females, Adriana to the left and Melanie to the right. Both individuals are master's level graduate students involved in online learning at Ball State University. Both participants are employed full-time providing services to individuals with intellectual and or developmental disabilities of varied ages. Employment responsibilities for both participants restrict their abilities to participate in uninterrupted physical activity for health and physical fitness. Study participants live in different geographic areas within the United States, with one participant residing in California and Pacific Standard Time, and the other in Florida and Central Standard Time. Due to variance in geographic location, participants utilize video chat applications to communicate and collect data. The materials needed for the replication studies are an outdoor space conducive to fitness walking, cones to identify the 50-meter lap course. Tokens are also needed to reinforce each lap that is completed, a personalized gift bag for each participant that includes reinforcers. Additional reinforcers are provided for backup reinforcers such as smoothies, access to television or chips, a timer, a phone, tablet, or electronic device equipped with video chat application, and a data collection sheet.
Event recording was utilized as the method of data collection. Use of this data collection system provided data pertaining to the number of laps completed by each participant in the study. Participants were provided an event recording data sheet to indicate completion of each full lap with a tally mark. The event data recording form was utilized for baseline, treatment, return to baseline, and reintroduction of treatment phases. The same form was utilized for collection of inter-observer agreement data. For this study, our team used the AB-AB reversal design. Use of the reversal design required collection of data in 4 phases: baseline, treatment, return to baseline, and reintroduction of the treatment intervention, which in this case was a token economy. In addition, the use of the reversal design allowed for verification of the effects of the independent variable, the token economy, on the dependent variable, walking laps. Baseline and treatment phases. In the baseline phase, 2 Ball State graduate students served in the capacity of participants. Each recorded walking session was 60 minutes in length, and the participant was able to choose their own walking space. They were required to walk for a minimum of 1 minute and no longer than 60 minutes. The participant was able to choose to end the session prior to the 60-minute mark. The 50-meter lap was walked outdoors, and the participants were allowed to take a break at any time during the 60-minute session. During the baseline sessions, no praise or tokens were given for walking completion of the lap. The participant placed a tally mark on the data collection sheet at the completion of each lap to indicate the number of completed laps. At the end of the session, the participant added all tally marks and indicated the total number of laps walked during the session on the data collection form. Participants used video recording to collect their individual session data to share with their project partner for inter-observer agreement. In the treatment phase, each Ball State graduate student selected a personalized gift bag to collect tokens earned during the intervention phase. Tokens were represented by the United States currency of a penny. A total of 60 pennies were made available at the end of the walking course. At the conclusion of each full 50-meter lap, the participant obtained a token and placed it in their individualized gift bag. Prior to the initiation of the treatment phase, participants encouraged each other to use self-talk and verbal praise as encouragement to continue to walk laps during this phase. Participants started the timer in tandem with the first step of the first lap in each session. As participants approached the cone indicating the halfway point for each lap, they began to provide themselves with verbal praise and encouragement to complete the lap. Upon completion of a full 50-meter lap, the participant documented lap completion with a tally mark on the data collection sheet and obtained a token and placed it in their gift bag, while simultaneously providing themselves with verbal praise. At the end of the hour session, Ball State student participants counted the tokens in their bag and noted the total number of laps walked and tokens earned on the data collection sheet. Participants were able to exchange tokens for a preferred reinforcer identified in their personal preference assessment, or accumulate tokens for multiple sessions for purchase of a more expensive item at the conclusion of another session. Inter-observer agreement data. The dependent variable of the number of 50-meter laps walked in an hour was tallied by one Ball State student researcher on a data sheet. The additional Ball State student researcher served as the independent observer and recorded the number of 50-meter laps walked in an hour. IOA data was collected through video chat applications and video recording, and was an evaluation of data for 38% of the total 1-hour walking sessions facilitated by the graduate student participants. Inter-observer agreement was calculated with the following formula: smaller number of walks per hour divided by the higher number of walks per hour, with the total being multiplied by 100%. Total inter-observer agreement data percentage for this study was 96.3%. To ensure integrity in treatment, many factors were implemented to increase the reliability of the intervention and the study. In order to maintain the maximum level of motivation, each session took place in the morning. The morning sessions ensured the participants' level of motivation was not influenced by variable events or activities throughout the day. Before each session, the participants made sure the course was accurately measured to equal 50 meters. Throughout each session, a timer was used to track the amount of time left for each session. The participants used the same outdoor space consistently throughout the study, and during IOA data collection, the participant was observed through video chat applications and video recording by their partner. These graphs are a visual display of the laps walked each session through all phases of the AB-AB reversal design. During the first phase of baseline, Adriana walked an average of 16.6 laps an hour, which ranged from 13 to 21 laps. Melanie walked an average of 29.8 laps an hour, with a range from 29 to 31 laps. There was a significant increase in laps walked during the first phase of the token economy intervention. Adriana walked an average of 34.8 laps per session, with a range from 28 to 41 laps. Melanie's average laps walked increased from 44.8 laps, with a range from 34 to 51 laps. During the return to baseline phase, Adriana averaged 16.6 laps with a range of 13 to 21 laps. Melanie averaged 28.8 laps with a range of 21 to 32 laps. During the second phase of the token economy intervention, Adriana walked an average of 31.3 laps ranging from 27 to 35 laps. Melanie's average had also increased with an average of 45.9 with a range of 34 to 51. Both participants' data collection displayed a marked decrease in lap completion during the baseline 2 phase when the intervention was withdrawn. In addition, the data of both participants had an upward trend during each intervention phase when reinforcers were earned.
What you see here is a table of items selected in the preference assessment, percentages of reinforcers chosen, and total cost of reinforcers across participants. The token exchange rate was based on each participant's baseline levels of walking to ensure that each participant had an equal opportunity to earn reinforcers. The exchange rate used in first token reinforcement phase for a highly preferred item was the average number of laps walked during baseline multiplied by 5. The exchange rate for the low preference item was the baseline average for laps walked. For the second token reinforcement phase, the exchange rate would increase depending on how the participant performed on the first token reinforcement phase. For me, Adriana, I chose access to Netflix 45% of the time, which was a reinforcer with the highest exchange rate. Due to not being able to meet 85 laps to access my reinforcer, the exchange rate decreased from 85 to 80. At the second token reinforcement phase, access to Netflix stayed highly preferred, which was chosen 50% of the time. With the upward trend with the increase in distance walked, the exchange rate increased for access to hot Cheetos and smoothies because it was easily accessible, and the game night exchange rate stayed the same. For Melanie, Nike tennis shoes was the highest exchange rate with 80 tokens, red curry chicken with 40 tokens, shaved ice with 20 tokens, ice cream with 17 tokens. For the first token reinforcement system, Melanie chose ice cream 40% of the opportunities and shaved ice 40% of the opportunities. With the upward trend with increase in distance walked, the exchange rate for all Melanie's reinforcers increased. In the second token reinforcement phase, Melanie chose red curry chicken and Nike tennis shoes 50% of opportunities. During our replication of the study, we identified many limitations that affected our performance and participation. The most prevalent limitation was the size of our group. The original study was conducted with 5 participants. However, due to our group size of 2, the sample size of data collected was limited. Although the data collected for both participants indicates an increase in completed 50-meter laps, there is not a large enough sample of data to display a correlation between token reinforcement and an increase in lap completions. Differences in geographical location and time zones also proved to be a limitation for our group. With a 2-hour time difference, it proved to be difficult to communicate person to person in real time. This dynamic resulted in most communication being conducted via text messages, emails, and posting to Google Drive. Emergence of the COVID-19 pandemic further complicated our team's ability to interact in real time, with both participants challenged with longer work hours due to layoffs, homeschooling grade school level children, retrieving children from college, and acclimating to life with harsh restrictions. The level of motivation to continue to replicate the study and evaluate the results was strained. Amidst the pandemic, weather conditions challenged the participants' ability to participate in walking outdoors. Participants were charged with utilizing indoor areas and exercise equipment such as a treadmill to continue to collect data. Using an indoor space afforded participants with an environment where comfort levels were controlled. Factors such as temperature, entertainment such as like a television, and convenient access to other activities were introduced. This dynamic introduced the possibility of a causal relationship between laps walked and each of the additional factors introduced in the study.
Conclusion. The original study and replication data displayed a marked decrease in completed laps during reversal when the treatment intervention was withheld. Student researchers improved their total number of laps walked, and with treatment intervention, displayed a motivation to earn tokens to exchange for reinforcement. The study did not address maintenance and a method for thinning reinforcement to sustain and maintain behavioral change. With both participants showing an increase in laps walked during intervention, the results showed a functional relationship between behavior and intervention. Contribution. Adriana spent an extensive amount of time completing research for the literature review. In addition, she had a shared responsibility for the final written report. She prepared the template for the multimedia presentation and took lead in identifying which data tables should be included in the final report and the multimedia presentation. She completed mean and range data for both participants and spent more than 15 hours engaged in tasks associated with prep and completion of the final project report and multimedia presentation. Melanie completed research for the literature review and also had a shared responsibility for the final written report and multimedia presentation. She assisted with the completion of the multimedia presentation and created data tables for both participants. She spent more than 15 hours engaged in tasks associated with prep and completion of the final project report. References. References continued.